The Trump administration is now proposing prosecuting American citizens and denaturalizing them in order to combat anti-Semitism. In June, Donald Trump's Department of Justice released a memo highlighting their priorities to go after discrimination, which is essentially their cover to prosecute Americans who are too critical of the state of Israel. In this DOJ memo, Donald Trump essentially declares war on free speech in the concept of the First Amendment by vowing to go after Americans who are critical of the state of Israel. The Trump administration is actively retaliating against Americans who speak out against genocide and doing it under the guise of fighting discrimination. Zionists are truly sick in the head, and this is just another example of the imperial boomerang coming back home. MAGA is actively threatening American citizens who speak out against Israel genocide, while also threatening international courts who charge Benjamin Netanyahu with war crimes. MAGA is plunging humanity into an era of lawlessness in order to protect their favorite apartheid state. An anti-Semite used to be someone who had hatred of the Semitic people. Now it is used to identify people who doesn't worship and serve the Zionist entity. Zionist censorship is the number one threat to Western society.
That video was great. Welcome back, everybody. I think it's been, 2 weeks since we've been on? We took a week off during World War III. Things were hectic. How are you? I haven't seen you.
Yeah, what's poppin', my friends, my family? It's always good to check in with Sarah. I'm glad he found my hotspot, too. You guys know I'm always in the lab cooking. We putting up numbers on hotspot. I remember, I think it was Nico, someone was telling me, but we had like 5 million views one day doing on our hotspots. Either way, things are going really great. And I put a link in the private chat. That's the source I want to use. There's a reason. And you know how we do, Sarah. We got a lot to talk about. We like to rant. But there's a reason why we're seeing this intense Zionist fascist crackdown. Like, we're seeing this because we're seeing the pro-Israel lobby lose a narrative of the likes we have never seen before, to the point where even Democrats who was extremely pro-Israel in 2017, they measured it. It was plus 13 in terms of who you sympathize more with, which is such a weird, weaselly way to ask the question. But even with the way they ask it, now it's now plus 43 in terms of Democrats who now sympathize. There it is. That's why I'm referencing. And this is just one screenshot of this big poll that came out. And we all should take a moment to celebrate this. I know there's a lot of doom going on. I know there's a lot to be depressed about. But this is the work of us being loud and unapologetic in our opposition to Zionism and making it socially unacceptable. Look at that, plus 43 who Democrats sympathize more with. And that's a really weird way to ask a question for I'm concerned as well. So in 2023, we're going to be arrested for refusing to die for Israel. This authoritarianism we're seeing is the last. It's like the empire panicking. Even AIPAC, like for example, AIPAC is bragging because they got rid of Cori Bush, Jamal Bowman, a few other people who dissent against the Israel narrative. But you guys know that's a bad sign. The fact that they're out in the open like that, the fact that they openly spending millions of dollars in order to influence races. They just pledged millions of dollars to get rid of Thomas Massey. There's never been a moment where the Jewish lobby, the AIPAC Zionist lobby, ever had to expose themselves like this. Usually, they can just coast. Now they can't help but hide who actually calls the shots. So, what's poppin', Sarah?
I think that's a good sign, and it's also a bad sign because it means they're getting more reckless, and they're just being like, we don't give a F, like, throw it up in the air, you know? I mean, the other day, like, minor pushback from Massey, which is normal against a bill, turned into, I'm going to primary you. Like, and you brought up a really good point about how the Democrats are very much shifting. Oh, thank you, MJR. The Democrats are very much shifting in their opinions. And so now we're seeing an uptick in anti-Semitism laws. Isn't that interesting? His political opponents could be labeled as anti-Semites. Weird. It's almost like he's using it as a political tool to go after people he doesn't like. Interesting.
Yeah, remember AOC and the progressives, they signed off to that too. That's what I'm worried about with Zoran Mamdani, because I feel like he has to overcompensate because he said some shit on Twitter before he knew he was going to be mayor. Like, he said some based ass shit. You know what I mean? So now I'm worried that he has to overcompensate now. So he's going to stick NYPD on pro-Palestine protest. I hope I'm wrong, but.
Well, I don't even like Mamdani. I don't like his platform. I think he's kind of cringe and cheesy, but I respect that he won. Like, he's just not my type of candidate.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't live in New York. He's not leading me, so I don't really have a very strong opinion. But now we're talking about stripping him of his citizenship and deporting him?
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to visit Israel as if he wins mayor of New York? Instead of saying maybe we shouldn't put up the same establishment candidates over and over and over. Why is Eric Adams running as an independent? Because he's more ingratiated with the Republicans now. Like, Cuomo's running as an independent because he's an establishment Democrat. Like, instead of being insightful and self-reflective, it's more like, well, it's them. It's not us. We just got to deport them. We deport the ideas and they're gone. It's a nutty. It's a crazy.
Yeah, notion. I'm with you, and I explained this on our channel before. I'm not a fan of Mamdani. I think he's goofy. I'm not a fan of his toxic positivity, like in his fake smile. We almost smell at everything. I'm not a fan of that shit. But at the same time, I'm not hating on the people in New York who was desperate. You know, they want to lower the cost of goods. I understand it. But I'm not a big fan of Zoran, and you guys must believe he will sell you out as soon as he can. But I also will take any opportunity for a propaganda win, and I've been using his election as a way to dig into the Zionists and expose the empire for who they truly are. Like, you see the King Jeffries, you see Richard Torres, they're like, I don't want nothing to do with this guy, and you're seeing the naked racism of the Democratic Party, and there are a lot of people being surprised. Now, this is the time where we put oil on the fire. This is where we're supposed to be instigators, where we drive with this drama. That's what I'm doing a lot. And the people who are surprised about like these comments from these Democratic senators being insanely racist towards Zoran, I don't know why people are surprised, because remember, they denied Palestinians who endorsed genocide for speaking at the DNC. Think about how crazy racist the Democratic Party is. I know people don't talk about it because they only talk about Republican racism, but think about how batshit crazy racist the Democratic Party is. You had a group of Palestinians that was willing to endorse the genocide of their own people. They was willing to vote for a person who murdered countless Palestinians, but because they hated Palestinians and they hate Arabs so much, they wouldn't allow them to speak at the DNC. Isn't that disqualifying for a party? Like, for people who say, oh, I think racism, I have a zero tolerance for racism. Why are you in the Democratic Party? Like, they're filled with the most racist Karens in the world. But I digress, Sarah.
That's exactly right. And that was kind of everybody's argument as well. It was like, at the end of the day, you're part of the Democratic Party and you're beholden to them. Whether you're a sock dem, a dem sock, or a communist, you ran on the Democratic Party's ticket. And I think you're right to be skeptical about Mamdani. I also just don't really care because I don't live in New York. Like, that's the thing. Like, all these crazy Americans are like, deport him. I'm like, where do you live? They're like, the Ozarks, Missouri. I'm like, I can see if you're in New Jersey or Connecticut and you're concerned, but like, anybody outside that tri-state area should have zero opinion, or I shouldn't say they should have zero opinion. It's normal to have an opinion. It's not normal to feel invested in it. Then go live there.
Yeah, the people with Mamdani derangement syndrome. I think these people.
Oh my God.
What are they? Benny Johnson. These people are like, oh my God, a Muslim is taking over New York. The Muslim is infiltrating our city. Like, bro, we have how many Jewish elected officials? And you got these white dudes like, oh my God, I can't believe there's a Sharia law takeover of New York. Like, bro, APAC literally really damn
like the wokest person ever. He's like, I like LGBTQ. I'm all about sex worker liberation. I'm all, like those aren't things that I support. But like, I'm like, he's not Sharia law. He's not an Islamist. He's like woke. Like,
that's a funny
can't have it both ways. He's either a militant Islamist or he's gonna make New York gayer. Like, I don't understand. Like, and there's really not a such thing as Islamic communism. It's just not in this day and age anyway. Yeah. It's just a very weird knot that they've twisted themselves in. Benny Johnson is just on my nerves lately. He's become like kind of like the Opie sort of all-American boy that like goes around and does propaganda for the regime. It's very weird. And since you brought him up, I'll throw this up because I want to know your opinion on Alligator Alcatraz. And here's Benny Johnson manufacturing consent for this new privatized prison. They're selling merch, guys. Come down here. Things are going insanely well.
What the fuck?
I can't. Like, I don't really understand the concept of what it like, and I don't really think that the topic needs to be Alligator Alcatraz necessarily. It's like the concept. We were gonna give you mass deportations, and we all probably would have been fine if that was done, quietly. It's all circus and no bread. It's like, we're gonna put them in cages. You can come visit them. It's gonna cost $1.2 million a day, and everything's going insanely well. And you're like, how is this a solution? And how is this normal?
People like Benny Johnson cracks me up, man. It's hard to take these like hardcore partisan super seriously. It's like the more gay these people are, the more hardcore they lean into fascism to make up for it. He's like this generation's Milo. Being like, remember that Milo guy who was gay as hell? He forced himself to become straight. That's who Benny reminds me of. Because I don't know, but I've seen a lot of rumors. This guy is like the most obviously running away from his demons.
I agree.
Straight motherfucker I've ever seen in my life. And these white gay dudes who like run from their demons. That's why they're obsessed with the LGBTQ community, because they hate that people are showing who they really are. That's why you got all these like undercover really gay Republicans.
They are, yep.
I'm not talking shit, guys. It's real, guys. I live in Missouri, motherfucker. This shit is real. Like the numbers don't add up. Like all these people claim to hate gay people, but I look at like the gay porn numbers is crazy. Like you got all these people undercover, all these undercover Republicans.
I don't want to hear it. The influencers, we call them the homo cons. There is a whole gay mafia in the influencer and like GOP circles and the technocrat circles. You're exactly right. They're all closeted and weird. They're not like a normal, I don't want to say a normal gay. I don't know how to phrase it. They're just nuts. These people are
wasn't Grindr like popping? Like Grindr was on fire during the RNC.
Grindr goes crazy.
You guys can't tell me Benny is not running.
Has hair that's like more well maintained and longer than mine. Like, what are we doing here? And he's like, it's all bonkers. It's all the GOP is just weird.
You can't tell me that boy Benny is not running away from some demons. That's all I'm gonna say. Back to the topic.
Oh my God.
He's definitely running away from demons. Every single clip I've seen from this dude. Jesus Christ. Anyway, it's cool though, because like there's a spectrum. I thought we agreed on that. There's a spectrum. Yeah. Let's just say that. But regarding the topic, you guys know I like to have fun, especially with my friend Sarah. But I don't know. Maybe I'm weird. Maybe I'm crazy. But I much prefer the out in the open racism, the empire has no clothes, politics. Once again, I understand why people disagree with me. I'm not saying this is.
No, I like that it's out in the open for sure.
Like the empire is evil as shit, guys. No matter who's in charge. Like you guys understand that Joe Biden's ICE was so evil that people was going on hunger strike because conditions were so bad. There was people under Biden's ICE that was being sexually assaulted, and there was no accountability. So either way, the empire is evil. What I prefer, and this is me personally, I'd rather have the Benny Johnsons out there representing the United States flag. Make it 100% clear about what this motherfucker is about. I despise the Kareem Jean-Pierre's, the black women coming out representing the empire. Get the fuck out of here. The Democrats, the Black Congressional Caucus. I don't want these motherfuckers to be facing the empire. We respect human rights. That's why we are bombing hospitals. So what do you guys prefer? Because the empire is the same no matter what. I'd honestly rather have them be honest about who they are. I'd rather them have Benny Johnsons out there. Oh, we taking a selfie at concentration camps instead of the Biden team. Kamala Harris, they will have lawyers. They would find a way to legally explain what they're doing using their academic prowess. I'd rather have these dummies who suck at managing the empire. You know what I mean? But either way, we get the same thing.
You are a little bit accelerationist, though. You are. I am too. I do like that they're out in the open. I do like that. I mean, obviously, it makes for great content, but this is the type of stuff that it's much easier discussed if it's out in the open. And you really, when people deny it, you know that they're just in a cognitive dissonance land. Like they just don't want to believe it. So it does make it a lot easier for people like us, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, it's nothing new.
Can you imagine going back in hindsight in 10 years and saying, man, I advertised merch for like a deportation camp in a swamp? Like I would be so ashamed.
These the new generation of right-wing media figures, they trying to catch up. I still don't believe anyone have anything on Rush Limbaugh. Sorry guys. I grew up during the Rush Limbaugh era. These new right-wing commentators, they don't got shit on him, bro. They're not nearly as edgy. I remember I used to have Rush Limbaugh derangement syndrome, bro. That motherfucker used to piss me off so much. So whenever I see these like Benny Johnson, I'm like, you guys are amateurs compared to Rush Limbaugh and those people.
They really are.
That's the right wing I grew up with. That's why I hate like the liberals with Trump derangement syndrome, because like, oh, I wish the Republican Party will go back. Go back to what? The Rush Limbaugh era?
Reagan.
The Newt Gingrich, bro, that's the Republican Party that made me vote Obama. Like these are the people who made me have Republican derangement syndrome. So Trump, he's a metropolitan shit lib.
Do me a favor, though. You want to know why we're so cooked? Do yourself a favor and watch. I know you don't like Nick Fuentes, but do yourself a favor and just watch the parts, at least of Dinesh D'Souza last night.
I seen some clips.
He's only what, 56? He's in his 60s, right? 60s or 70s. He's not that old. He's older. But these people are still in our intelligentsia and our think tanks. And he's talking about when Reagan did it, and we're like, what? Like, what are you talking about? Joe Biden? Like, even Nick had to stop and be like, dude, this is 2025. Like, but those are the people that run the country. So I'm not shocked that people be like, I want the GOP to go back to how it was. Like, all this romantic.
Do you guys remember the George Bush Republican Party? George W. Bush that invaded Iraq, and he said God told him to. And that was the messaging, bro. I was a teenager growing up with this shit. My mind was blown.
They're doing it again.
Yeah.
I mean, Trump has more than once said that, you know, I was saved for a reason. God put me here for a reason. I didn't die for a reason. Other people are reinforcing that. I mean, the freaking billboards in Tel Aviv, they look like the Last Supper, and Trump is in the position of Jesus Christ. So it's like, it's a very, I mean, the same thing I said, we're going to deal with the messianic thing. And I think that we are. I really do.
Yeah, and that's why I try to be, and I hope people understand, like, I have anger towards like influencers. I'm not angry at the average person, because whenever I see these Gen Zers with Trump derangement syndrome, I get it, because they going through the same thing I went through during the George W. Bush era, because Donald Trump, they following the same pattern. And when you study history, you realize, like, dude, the ruling class, they legitimately do the same thing over and over again. You know what I mean? Like, Bush was a liberal elite. Then he go like Yale. I don't know his whole biography.
He's a Yaley. Mm-hmm.
He was a liberal elite, and he started talking like a Texan.
Right.
He went over the dumb rednecks. It's the same thing Trump did. This motherfucker was pro-life. He was an abortion activist his entire life. Then he realized he wanted to be a Republican. All of a sudden, he's pro-life. Like, it's when you see the same things over and over again, you see these patterns, and that's why me and Sarah, we roll our eyes at people like in their 40s that's still going through this. You know what I mean? It's like, how many cycles of this have you seen? And you still going through this game. Gen Zers, I get it, bro. You see it. You going through life. You seeing the world the first time. This shit's crazy. I've been there. But if you're in your 40s, bro, how many of these cycles do you have to see before
exactly. That's why it was great to watch, because, you know, I don't talk to people in that age group really, or in that demographic. So I was like, oh my God, I keep forgetting that there's really these people still exist, that they haven't completely died off yet. And it's just, it's actually kind of scary, but I do agree with the, sympathizing with the Zoomers kind of going through, because we went through it with Bush. But I also feel bad for the Zoomers because Bush knew he had 8 years, so he took his time. Trump only had 4, and he's a lame duck president. So this is like no foreplay, just right into the war. I didn't even get to debate in my mind whether their weapons of mass destruction were real. Like, we just went right in. So it is what it is. Just like, and they even got into an argument last night on the debate about, he was like, how can you say that it doesn't matter which party's in power? How can you say there's a uniparty? Don't tell an actual neo.
I gotta watch this debate. I seen the clip and this, Nick is a young Zoomer, and he's like fucking destroying this. It's like because you guys know I love combat sports. It's like watching an old Wasp fighter fighting a new up and coming. Nick Fuentes is a young up and coming fascist, and he debating old fascists, and he's just whooping his ass.
He literally did. He ran circles around the guy. But I really like the evolution that Nick's on. He's getting less and less untouchable. Do you know what I mean? He's getting more, not mainstream friendly, but it's not all anti. I don't know how to explain it, but anyway, regardless. So I do watch him here and there, but mostly when he's on Alex Jones, because I like to see the kind of dichotomy. And when I found out he was debating Dinesh D'Souza, I was like, I haven't seen this motherfucker in years, so I don't wonder what he's up to. And then I watched it.
D'Souza is washed, man.
They're nuts. The D'Souzas are crazy. What happened is that this is fantastic. How it happened was Dinesh D'Souza's son-in-law, who is white, was ragging on Mamdani on Twitter about him eating the rice with his hands. And I think Nick Fuentes was like, you're married to an Indian. And then the daughter, she's gorgeous, by the way, but not all there, she freaked out and she was like, I'm not Indian. I'm American. I'm MAGA. I'm a good Christian American. And then it bloomed out of that. So the whole thing is ridiculous from the get-go. Because they're just so not self-aware at all. They're like, you're South Indian. They're like, I'm American. So that's where the debate came from. And Dinesh D'Souza is just typical neocon sort of fascist, and his reasonings for protecting Israel. It's all it's very much strike first and hard, so they can't strike. It's all shock and awe. It was a really interesting debate because you have to remember these people are still circling around Trump.
Nick Fuentes, he brings that hardcore, I'm a true racist energy to these motherfuckers. He's like, you motherfuckers
high IQ racist, literally, if that's an oxymoron, if I ever said one. But
he's like, you guys are on that fake shit. You guys are actually globalists. I'm on that real racist shit.
Yeah.
And their ideology is so inconsistent, they can't deal with them, bro. Because they pretend to be like Nick Fuentes, but Nick Fuentes is about that real Nazi shit. So when they can't really. They can't. It's very interesting. I told you I'm a nerd, so it's very interesting to see it. Because he's the untouchable on the right. You guys know how there are a lot of people on the left who they won't engage with us. They won't engage with me because we're the untouchables. We are the people that they don't want to. They know that we can spot out their contradictions. Yeah. That what Nick Fuentes, like him or not, that what he does to the right, bro. Nick, he's not even focused on us. He's not even bothering us. He just spend all his time trolling people on the right. To me, it's kind of hilarious. Just kind of witness. You guys know I don't like that motherfucker at all.
Well, I think about it. He grew up with MAGA. I mean, he literally came of age with MAGA, and this isn't a defense of Nick. It's about everybody who kind of came of age with MAGA, this sort of Zoomer class who's been very disaffected. The Biden years were not kind to them. They're having issues with socialization. They're very dejected from society. They don't have a lot of hope, and he represents this demographic. And I think that's why it's important to take in what some of the stuff that he says, not saying accept it and make it your own, but to understand the demographic that he's kind of speaking to and for. And these kids, while they're not Nazis or going to be all fascists or Christian nationalists, they're very disaffected and dejected by society. And he had hope. They had hope in MAGA and America First, and now they don't have any again. So I understand the anger and the angst and the questioning. And that's exactly how we were. We went through Obama, and then we got gypped with the Bernie. I mean, I caucused for Bernie. I loved Bernie. I was a freak. I was like a Bernie girl in 2016. And the same thing happened to us. I mean, what was Bernie's slogan? I forget even, but we weren't MAGA, we were the other way. And then Hillary Clinton kind of took that away from us. The sad part is that it wasn't, well, Bernie kind of took it away a little bit, but the sad part here is that Trump's the one who's giving it away for them. Bernie didn't really necessarily screw us and give it away in the end too badly, but Trump is really screwing over MAGA, the people that got him elected. Like, that's this sort of class of people.
Yeah, the rise of people like Nick Fuentes proves our Marxist critique right in a lot of ways, because we explain how when the failure of neoliberal capitalism, when the center craters, the working class have a choice. Do we embrace socialism? Do we embrace revolution? Do we break the working class? Or do we lean towards fascism? Nick Fuentes is the example of what happens when a disenfranchised class lean towards more race organizing, more fascist organizing. And I'm not a liberal, and this is why, like, a lot of people on the left, they hate that I have conversations with people like Jake Shields. I will go on Jimmy's show, Glenn's show, because I'm not a liberal. I believe in the potential of the working class. Liberalism convinces people to have disdain, distrust for ordinary people, disdain for the activists. Oh, they're the Red Blue Alliance. Oh, they're secretly fascist. We can't talk to these people because they're racist. That's very liberal-minded and liberal thing. And there are a lot of people who call themselves socialists who still believe in this liberal bullshit. But as someone who actually believes in the potential of the working class, I see someone like Nick Fuentes, and I want to out-hustle him. I want to bring more people on my side than him, because he's bringing the fascist argument to them and he's winning those people over. We need to be competing with him. We need to out-hustle. We need to win those people over who are going to Fuentes, who are choosing the fascist wing. And there are a lot of people who like to shoo. Oh, man, we shouldn't be talking to these people. We shouldn't be. No. As someone who believes in the potential of the working class, unlike liberalism, we should be trying to win over the entirety of the working class. That's what I believe. And that's why I premiering this my conversation with Jake Shields today. I was on Jake Shields' show. I know a lot of people on the left Twitter are gonna have a fucking meltdown because like Jake Shields, he one of them people that he talks to everybody. He had KAK members, he had all these crazy people on the show, and he was like, "Man, I like RBN." Honestly, he's like he weirdly likes RBN, even though he considered himself on the right. So he invited me on, have a conversation. I'm getting them to agree with defund the police. I'm getting them to agree with universal health care. It's like, if we're not having these conversations, people like Nick Fuentes will. So I can't wait to show you guys that video, because
that's awesome. I get a lot of shit. Well, I get a lot of shit for talking to a lot of people, and I'm the same exact way. I'll talk to anybody. Like, I want to know what everybody's thinking. I want to know what wavelength everybody's on. I think we get stuck in these safe spaces and echo chambers, and it does us actually a lot of harm. I find myself in them a lot, especially lately when the news gets really hectic. You wind up in an echo chamber. You got to make sure that you stay at least grounded to kind of listen to the opposite views. And it's so important. I've learned more from a lot, just these people challenging my ideas than I have from somebody affirming them. If you got to defend your ideas, you're going to be a lot more attached to them and a lot more comfortable with them than if somebody's just constantly confirming them. And I value that a lot. I get shit for like talking to Richard Spencer. I'm like, have you ever spoken to him though? And like listened to the actual things he says? I don't agree with them, but these people are well spoken and they're well read and they're learned, and those, you should still be listening to them even though you think that they're wrong.
This entire thing about me being in a leftist echo chamber, that's actually very new. like this whole thing of being only around leftists, that's a very new thing in my life. I live in Missouri. I've been surrounded by conservatives the majority of my life. I'm used to talking to conservatives more than leftists for the most part. This whole thing about me being surrounded by leftists is the last 4 years out of 30 years of my life. So that's why I told Jake, like, man, I'm surprised. Like I said, I'm always willing to talk to people on the right. I want to talk to anyone who want to have me on. And once again, big shout out to him, because when I wanted to show, I was like, bro, I want to win these people over. And I went very, very hard. And you see, if you look at the comments, a lot of them are very receptive. If you're not willing to have these conversations, you're already allowing the ruling class to win. That's why they want us to be separated. That's why they build a highway in between our communities to keep us separated. That's why the ruling class, these people, they paid influencers, going back to Benny, for example. they're paid. They're making 6 figures a year. Some easily making 7 to 10 figures, 8 figures a year. So of course they will push these culture war issues. Of course they will push all these wedge issues to make us feel like we're divided and we hate each other more than we actually do. But when you look at the American people, when they actually support, like every single poll is consistent. Like whenever you ask them about even stuff like immigration, it's pretty low. People care about the economy. That's what they care about. What actually will impact their material life. So it's our job to keep people refocused on that kind of stuff. If that makes sense. But Sarah, I'll pass back to you.
I agree. And I think that the reason why they're so receptible, like over in the Jake Shields chat, is that those are the type of people who get caught up in echo chambers, or they're too busy to go seek out other opinions. So it's so important that people like you take opportunities to go on shows like that. Like I've gotten shit for, I'm sure you've gotten it too for me. I've gotten shit for having this show with you. People are like, how could you hang out with a communist? I'm like, first of all, what are you talking about? And second of all, I'll talk to Adolf Hitler if he was alive right now. Like, I don't understand like what this idea is. Like, you can't talk to anybody. I gotta police who you talk to. And if you give air to their ideas, all of a sudden they're gonna take hold, sort of thing. It's a very weird idea, but
it's very like
for you going on Jake Fields.
It actually annoyed me. It's cop behavior. I understand like if you want people like I will never talk to someone who's racist. That mindset 100% makes sense to me. Like it's not your job, like for black and brown to debate race in their job. But what's weird to me is when you get upset when other people do it, because I want people I want someone to prove me wrong. Like I'm the kind of person who bring my. And you guys will see when I show the video on RBN. I want to bring my tanky ass arguments to someone, and if they knock it down, that will make me rethink shit. I'm like, wait, what?
Yes.
I was really like, man, this motherfucker.
But just like just like a callus, it gets your ideas. The more you challenge them and then sort of adapt them, they get more solidified, and you feel more confident when you're like, no, this is what I believe in. I believe in this. I'm confident. Like for me, multipolarity. Like I'm constantly challenged on that, and at the end of the day, I've just been like, I'm not against communism. I'm fine with communism if that's what the people want. Like, this is weird. I'm not against any ideology. Like if that's what people want, who am I to tell them what they should and shouldn't have? But I don't not like communism.
Yeah. Sarah never gave me anti-communist energy. I explained many times before, and I have Nico on. Nico's my good brother. You don't have to be a communist for me to be friends with you. What I do draw a red line is, if you're anti-communist, I'll be way less likely to want to talk to you. Like anti-communism is where I draw the line because I just truly wouldn't want to be in conversation with you in general. Because anti-communism is a dangerous ideology, which is it led to the death of millions. Like you guys understand what anti-communism done to humanity, did to the global working class. But you don't have to be a fucking theory reading Marxist Leninist for me to be in conversation with you. I think some people need to drop that. You know what I mean?
I think so too. And I think that they've actually, the greater they have actually encouraged us to sit in echo chambers. If you notice, I was talking about it the other day. I was like, well, at the end of the day, we have Twitter, which is supposed to, here. You're fine. We have Twitter, which is supposed to be sort of this community, the community town square. But then you have Truth Social, which is an echo chamber for the right, and you have Blue Sky and Meta, which are echo chambers for the left. And that's encouraged to go and kind of stay apart and not speak together, not organize, not converse, not talk about ideas together. So I think that we should work against that. I think they want to keep.
Have you seen the aggressively pro cancel culture right wing? I think some people call them the woke right. Yeah, because people like Laura Loomer and Mark Levin. Laura Loomer had this post. I know you've been going after Laura Loomer pretty hard. Like I love seeing your content when you clap at her. But Laura Loomer was like, "Man, I should have never met these motherfuckers." Like she was having a fucking Karen meltdown and epic shit. I met all these motherfuckers. I met Tucker Carlson. I met all these motherfuckers who betrayed Donald Trump. Donald Trump was so good to you, and you betrayed. I should have never met you motherfuckers. I'm never making that mistake again. I'm never getting close to you motherfuckers ever again. And I'm like, I thought you guys critiqued the left for this shit.
Exactly.
Like I thought
I thought you were the fuck your feelings crowd. Y'all got a lot of feelings all of a sudden. A lot of feelings.
Watching the MAGA Civil War has been glorious. It's because they expose themselves as the liberals I've been calling them as. Because as someone who's a tanky, I'm a comment. I've been calling MAGA people liberals. I'm like, bro, you're not fucking some sort of conservative. You're a shit lib. You believe in big government spending. You believe in sending all your money to Israel, who provide their people free health care. You believe in spending a ton of money on the giant police state. You want a little nanny state. Like this is the argument I'll make the right wing because I make them feel stupid. Because like you're not conservative. What conservative about you? The fact that you hate gay people, that's it? That's your defining feature. You don't like the rainbow flag. Meanwhile, you literally support neoliberal ideology.
Literally, they're all globalists. All these technocrats, they're all globalists. They don't want any borders for themselves. And they don't really have any. They don't have any borders, these private companies and these entities. How did Trump get rich? I mean, this is another thing that Dinesh said last night. He's like, Trump's worth so much money. First of all, it's not even liquid. And second of all, 40% of it is from his rug pull back before the inauguration. So, these people aren't even they're not even public servants anymore. They serve a private sector that we don't really have access to. Laura Loomer cracks me up, but I watch her and I follow her because she's actually showing the shift. MAGA is being totally it always was to a degree. MAGA is being totally co-opted and taken over by the Zionists. When I criticize America now, yesterday, I was attacked viciously in a space by Zionists because I criticized America. And I'm like, this doesn't feel like patriotism. This feels
Sarah being in these spaces is going to battle with these people. Like, it's very entertaining if you guys haven't seen it, Sarah.
But I thought it was really interesting. I said, why are you mad at me? They're like, you said the United States is evil. I was like, I was talking about U.S. Christianity. First of all, why do you care? Because you're Jewish.
Oh, they would hate me.
You're really they're actually mad because the United States is giving Israel and Bibi everything they want. And me saying that's wrong is a bad thing. It's it's interesting watching who's dropping out of MAGA and who's still carrying the torch. And it's been completely co-opted by Zionists and Christian or Jews and Christian Zionists, honestly. I mean, Laura Loomer brags. I went to the White House and I got 15 people fired. Okay, how?
Yeah.
Like, why and how? And what are you doing at the White House? You ate dog food for $100 sponsor. Like, what is going on? So, but I do follow her because I think she actually gives me a lot of insight into what's happening in this sort of Jewish Zionist Con Inc. right. She gives you real info.
You know how they think. Like
because they're taking over right now. This very interesting or this very this like Zionistic, very Christian Zionist neo-Conish.
Because she's like many other young Gen Z types. Because I know she may look 50, guys. I know she looks 62. But she's like fucking like what, 28, 30? How old is Laura Loomer exactly, guys? I know she's there late.
I think she's younger than me. I'm in my 30s.
I'm sorry. Let me tell you, Laura Loomer age. Oh, Jesus Christ, 32. So yeah, guys, I know she looks 63, but she's actually 32. So as a young shit poster, she doesn't have the restraint that like the older generation of propagandists do. The same thing you kind of see with Fuentes. Like it almost like across the board on the left and the right, the younger generation tend to be more off the cuff. So Laura Loomer is way more off the handle, way more willing to show her emotions. So like you read her tweets and you can see like, bro, this is how they really think. Like these Zionist Jewish people, they really believe their only duty is to serve the Zionist state and to serve the Zionist people. And Laura Loomer will look at anyone who questions that. Like what are you, a traitor? Of course you're supposed to serve us. Like the meltdown she had, and to your point about her being Trump, when she realized that she was getting ratioed by Fuentes, a lot of these people over and over again, she was like, "You guys don't understand. I have access to Trump. Trump likes me. I'm like that's her default. That's her go-to." And you guys see how
teacher's pet.
Yeah. The willing to be around and the access to power. She don't care if she don't have any real street credibility. She just want to be friends with the politicians.
Exactly.
And we see this all over the place. And
they're so out to lunch, they think that someone like Nick Fuentes would care. They're like, I don't care that you have black. I wouldn't care if somebody's like, I have access to Donald Trump. I'm like, I don't even want to talk to the motherfucker. Like, good for you. Like, why do I want access to the White House? I have no interest. I would move to the East Coast if I did.
Yes, and Sarah, the funny thing is you actually you actually read my point. Because my point was that's the same argument they use against us in RBN. They're like, I have access to Zoran Mamdani. The squad and them, they listen to us. Like this, like the Hassan left. They think they're more relevant. They're more important because they have the ears of the establishment. And the point I'm making, hopefully it's not missing you guys. Hopefully my point is coherent here. The point is these establishment swamp monsters. They take how close they are with the establishment. They're essentially sycophantic to the establishment and how the establishment accepts them. And they use that as credibility. And then some people like, man, Nick, I know you're too much of a bomb thrower. You cuss too much. You talk too country. Like if you need to clean up, you'll be able to have this person on your show. You'll be able to invite AOC. You'll be able to invite.
Right.
I don't give a fuck. That's to your point, sir. Like I don't give a fuck, man. Like if I get access, whatever access I get, I'm fine with. But we don't go into the game looking for access to these people. We want the approval of the proletariat. We want the approval of our community. And educate our people more important than anything else, right? But go ahead, Sarah.
That's the thing. Like we don't have the same values as them. People like approach me all the time and about like I'm getting paid by so and so. Once in a while, people will, offer me like interviews or stuff, but there's always like a catch. And I'm like, we don't need the money. That's not where our values are. And there's people that value money and we just don't. And a lot of people don't understand that. That's sort of money clout culture. I'm not really into it. I don't really need it.
Yeah, I'm not material.
They don't understand, and that frustrates them. They're like, I have access to Trump. You're like, I don't really want to eat French fries with Trump. And they're like, wait, what? Why? There must be something wrong with you. You must be a Nazi or something. What is it? You must be a communist. You're a commie.
Yeah. Yeah. Once again, I had access to all those people. I remember Nina Turner and them used to follow me. And then I went on Jimmy's show and I torched Nina Turner.
I like her too. Yeah, I used to like her too. And that's the thing about MAGA, these influencers is, and even the Hassan people that you mentioned with Mamdani, they don't realize that they think that, oh, I have access to them. They're listening to me. I have their ear. It's the other way around. You become the consent manufacturers. And that's exactly what happened to Laura Loomer. She went and she met with JD Vance for 3 hours. Oh, I have the ear of the vice president. But what did she come out of that meeting doing? Saying how great Palantir was and how much she wanted it to go and find migrants or illegal immigrants and anti-Semites. So she's a consent manufacturer. These people aren't influencing politics at all. That's a lie.
Yeah. Very well said. That's why they can't influence them on, like, for example, like Hassan will have Bernie Sanders on, and he'll give him a softball interview, and then Bernie Sanders will then repeat things that are completely antithetical to what Hassan believes. He will say stuff like Israel had the right to defend himself, and then people will like approach him like, what are your thoughts about these Zionist talking points by Bernie? Like, oh, what can you do, man? What can you do? Oh, come on. Of course you gotta say that. And that's your point, Sarah. That's why your point is better than I think a lot of people realize. These people, when they get access, they concede. They think that the politicians conceding them. No, you conceding to Zionist talking points. You accepting talking points for someone otherwise you will never accept. But you accept it now because you have access. You see how they pull you to their position. And whenever they see people who are not willing to budge, these are the people who are casted outside. These are people who will get blacklisted, like me and Sarah and many other people, and that's okay. Once again, we're not materialist, not a career climber. Luckily I live in the Midwest, very low cost of living. You know what I mean? But it's not about social standing. And there are a lot of people who, like Trump is one of the best examples. Like the people who are attached to the bourgeoisie. And this is what worries me about Zoran. I don't mean to pile on this guy, but Zoran Mamdani come from wealth. He come from money. And a lot of these people, they are performing for their class. So getting that promotion, becoming mayor, getting that esteemed position is more important than anything else. Like, are you willing to become a social outclass to the bourgeoisie class? A lot of them not willing to do that. That's why a lot of them not willing to take positions that are just factually correct. For example, saying that the Palestinian people and Hamas have the right to self-defense. If you want to be part of the professional managerial class, if you don't want to hurt your social standing, what do you say? I don't personally agree with globalized intifada. I don't agree with Hamas. I didn't like Assad in Syria because apparently he one of the people that cheered the downfall of Assad, Mamdani. So these are the kind of things you do if you want the approval of your class. But hey, once again, he's just a mayor, so I'm not gonna shout him too much. But you guys gotta understand what a class loyalty to.
You know what's amazing too? You're talking about class loyalty and class consciousness. The people the New Yorkers that are most mad about this election are obviously the elites and the upper classes. And I'm like, you want all these people to live here and serve you and to keep your lifestyle maintained, but they have to also live under whatever sort of technocratic autocracy that you guys want to put in place because you have more money and power. It's bonkers. It's like it's like you have, you know what I mean? They just want to improve the lives of the people who are actually maintaining your penthouse lifestyle, and you're like, no, they can't have that. It scares me too much.
And I know
there are grocery stores run by the government. They're not going to shop at them.
I know there are people in New York who strongly care about their career, who are upset at this democratic socialist. It may hurt their ability to climb the political ladder. But at the end of the day, how upset are Democrats really? Or maybe I should phrase it like this. I think this is a better way for me to phrase it. How angry should Democrats really be? Because I said way before Zoran was elected, the best thing to happen to the Democratic Party if Zoran wins. Like, lighting the establishment swamp creatures, they are so short-sighted. They are so obsessed with their Jewish supremacy. Their hatred of Muslims runs so deep. They don't even understand why, technically, like if you look at the chessboard, it will be horrible if Mamdani lost. Because think about it. You have Mamdani taking selfies with Emma Vigeland. He was going on Hassan Piker's progressive show. And the progressive media apparatus went all in on Zoran. I explained this. If you heard me say this a few weeks ago, you heard this rant before. They went all in on this guy because this was the last who's out for them. Like if Zoran Mamdani lost to Cuomo in New York, in this era of anti-Zionism where people shifted to the left, the Progressive Project is dead. The DSA was already bleeding resources. They filed for bankruptcy last year. The best thing that happened to the Democratic Party is Zoran winning. Because now that revitalized, if you haven't paid attention, there are people like, yeah, we need primary Hakeem Jeffries. Let primary Chuck Schumer. Let's waste more working class money. Let's take over the Democratic Party. It's been revitalized. The win for Zoran Mamdani has been amazing for the DSA. But if he lost, bro.
But do you think that this, just this primary win, I think maybe I'm just being a bit utopian or too positive, but I think that this primary win is a huge win regardless in some areas, i.e. the anti-Zionist discourse. I mean,
for sure.
That's the argument that I always get in with people. I'm like, yo, he didn't get elected because he's Muslim or South Asian and they all voted for him. He literally got elected because he's worried about rent freezing and because he's anti-Zionist. Like that's the platform that won him this election. And I think that speaks volumes about how people feel in the most Jewish city in the country, maybe outside of LA, I would think, or maybe it is the most Jewish city. They have the most power there, I would think. And it was a very interesting win. And I think that it really shocked them. You saw them, they went crazy.
Yeah, for sure. It was a massive referendum against Zionism. And Richie Torres was highly expected to run for governor. He just announced this morning that he's not going to run for governor. And I know, and that's like a big news for the establishment. Like everyone, like, oh my God, Richie Torres not running for governor. And I know that may not seem like big news, but it actually is, because that win by Zoran sent a message to people like Richie Torres that they can't win nationally in a state like New York, being a hardcore Zionist like Richie Torres. So it wasn't those stories like, yeah, I understand it's kind of insignificant because electoral politics, but it says a lot because he's like, fuck, I can't win a governor race with my bro. Can you imagine how bad we would destroy this motherfucker? I'm not even into electoral politics, but I'll take a few jabs at this nigga Richard Torres. Like, bro, you think I won't make a few diss tracks to show on his genocidal? If he ran for governor, he will get destroyed, and he realized that he made his calculation. That's why I'm like, man, I saw that news today. Like, man, that's great. These are great signs and reasons to maintain revolutionary optimism. You understand?
Can I ask you a dramatic question? No, I'm never dramatic, but do you think that I think that the Zionists are kind of creating a huge schism in the country, and kind of knowingly they're at least doing it inside of MAGA? I mean, because now I'm thinking, like, if this momentum continues, and especially the Northeast is very blue, they're very anti-Zionist. Then you get down to like the Southeast and the Midwest, and it gets Zionist again. And then you get over to the coast, the two coasts, and they're very anti-Zionist. This doesn't really bode well when, say, we get candidates for national positions that are anti-Zionist, and they wind up winning. That's what I'm thinking. I think that there's like a lot more at play here.
Yeah, those people who had extreme revolutionary optimism regarding Zionism for the last few decades, they've been proven extremely right. And what I mean by that, I used to hear people like Kwame Ture. There were a lot of these Palestinian intellectuals, and this is like before October 7th. Because you guys know I've been covering this for years, like ever since I started as a citizen journalist. And I would always hear these intellectuals and these people say Zionism is inherently unstable. And they would say Zionism will inherently collapse. And to be honest, I was always skeptical of them when they would say that. Like, this is before October 7th. They're like, yeah, Zionism can't maintain itself. It's only a matter of time for the contradiction to be laid bare. They can't hide it forever. Like, what they did, but hiding it for as long as they did is extremely impressive. But it's only a matter of time. I was extremely skeptical. I'm like, who knows, man? Who knows? But now, it seems like these motherfuckers was right on point, wasn't they? Because to your point, Sarah, Zionism is destroying the Democratic Party as we know it. We just talked about how the Democratic Party voters is 100% inherently against it. And the Democratic Party ruling class forced the Democratic Party voters to make an extremely fucked up decision, which is extremely abusive. And one of the reasons why people should leave the Democratic Party, because let's have some sympathy for these liberals for a second. These people really believe that Donald Trump is a danger to this country. They may be misinformed, but they see Trump as some threat. And they're like, we got to find a way to defeat Donald Trump. He's a big threat to the LGBT community, to implement trickle-down economics. I know it may sound ridiculous to us, but this is what these people really feel. But then the Democrat ruling class forced them to choose, do you want to fight Trump and engage in Trump derangement syndrome, or do you want to vote for genocide? And think about this. A record amount of Democrats decided not to go with the Klan because exit polls show a record amount of Democrats didn't vote for Biden, didn't vote for Kamala Harris, with Gaza being the number one reason why. That's a youth poll. So these people are been forced to make this decision, and the Democratic Party is imploding as a result of it. Like, they were being excited about this midterm coming up, but they don't realize they did permanent party damage to their base. Like, never underestimate the ability for MAGA and Trump to fuck things up. Never underestimate that. But people like the Democrat Party did permanent damage forever because the Zionists put a gun to their head and forced them to choose. Do you want to win the election, or do you want to betray the Zionist lobby? And the Democrat Party leadership made their decision. And it's kind of fucked up, the decision they made, considering what they told their voters who Donald Trump was. Donald Trump is a threat to democracy, who's going to cut Medicare. But fuck it. If you guys don't support Zionism, we will let them win. What does it say about them, right?
Exactly. But I also think that this midterm is going to go abysmally bad for the Republicans. Not that I don't really care either way who wins. I guess I prefer the Democrats, maybe. I don't know in this situation. But they're going to lose. And it's going to create the same situation on the right. And you're going to have a big schism in the party on the right. It's going to be like, why didn't we win? And it's going to be because you take AIPAC money and because you're retarded. And they're going to be like, what do you mean? And it's going to be the same exact thing. I can already see it happening in MAGA. We have this anti-Zionist kind of reactionary right. And then we have the GOP and the neocons who are obviously very Zionist. They have to be. It's part of their foreign policy and ideology. That's
what did I tell you guys? What did I tell you guys after the literally a few weeks after Donald Trump won? I tell you, they're doing everything they can to help the Democratic Party. They're doing everything they can to bail the Democratic Party out. Never underestimate the ability of MAGA to fuck things up, and don't underestimate how the ruling class relies on the pendulum swinging from the left to the right. You have George W. Bush who wins, then you get Barack Obama who wins, then Donald Trump who wins, then Joe Biden. They enjoy the pendulum swinging like that. They need both parties to be strong. So MAGA, after the Democrats helped revive MAGA and Trump, you had Trump that pulled off October 7th that pissed off a ton of suburban wine moms. Like the suburbanites was done with Trump after October 7th. So what did the Democrats do? They bailed him out by committing genocide.
Exactly.
So then what do Donald Trump do? So Democrats have committed a genocide. The party is dead in the water. So what do they do?
Continue
continue the genocide, continue the Ukraine war.
And then Dinesh D'Souza goes, what do you mean there's nothing different between the two parties? That's where we are.
Yeah.
The same foreign policy. And the boomers on each side are going, what do you mean? It's completely different.
Guys, they're more than happy than letting the pendulum switch. Change. You take turn. I'll be in power. I'll run this committee for a few years. Then I go in the minority, and then we can fundraise. Hell, even if I lose an election, I can become a lobbyist for a few years. Like guys, they're more than happy with what they don't want. They don't want a third party to rise and fuck that game up.
No.
Why do you think they want to defeat third parties so strongly? Like it's the same thing that happened. Like if you're watching like pro wrestling, since I like using that analogy. Like if you're watching pro wrestling with someone, you constantly tell them it's fake. Like imagine there's this amazing match going on. Like, hey man, that's fake. Hey man, that's fake. You like shut the fuck up, man. Let me enjoy the damn show. That's partisans in a nutshell. We third party well, speaking for myself, a third party activist, we remind them that their fucking game is fake. People who don't buy the two party duopoly, we remind them constantly that they're watching a fake rom-com of a fucking TV show, essentially. And it irritates them. That's why they rather sit back and they want to watch their Nancy Mace political drama. They want to see Jasmine Crockett yell at Marjorie Taylor Greene. You know what I mean? They want to see fucking Gavin Newsom exchange barbs with Ron DeSantis. Yep. It's WWE. You know what I mean?
What I voted for. People to be mean to each other online. I voted for this. These people are so like unserious and inconsequential, but I agree with you wholeheartedly. Speaking of third parties, though, we said the feud between Elon and Trump is sort of back off with this big, beautiful bill. Elon has threatened to create a third party called the American Party, I think he said, or Patriot Party, something along those lines. But anyway, we have now a South African immigrant who's going to run a third party, and the president's screaming that he's going to deport him. What do you think about this Trump-Elon feud? Here's the and the ceasefire that he's invented. So I don't know. Maybe
my brother Nico House had an amazing hotspot video he released exposing how much of a fraud this ceasefire is. So I will leave it to him. Make sure y'all check out Nico House in the hotspot. He did a great job breaking it down. Whenever I see the Elon Musk Donald Trump drama, it cracks me up because
I do think it's real, though.
Yeah, it 100% real. I can't believe that they proved their critics right so much. Like there's all these smug liberal commentators, and it's like the one time they got something right. They said stuff like this all the time, and at the time I shrugged it off. They're like, Elon Musk and Donald Trump are two egos who would never coexist. Now, if you wasn't paying attention, I understand, but that's what the messaging comes from liberal. They're like, it's only a matter of time before Elon Musk and Donald Trump broke up. And I'm like, that's wishful thinking. And it's funny, it was right on the money, bro. Their ego is so strong. You have the president of the United States and the richest man in the world. Their egos clashing, and you see it in real time. So Elon Musk is flying off the handle because he's not getting his government subsidies. Elon Musk is definitely taking the biggest L out of this. Like if you ask me about the whole beef, Elon Musk takes easily the biggest L. Yeah. Trump, he doesn't really take an L to me because Trump does what you would expect him to do. Imagine you got the richest man in the world who have politics who otherwise antithetical to yours. Like Elon Musk is a big advocate of fighting climate change. He was a big electric car guy. He was the richest person in the world who supported Democrats. And then out of nowhere, he started supporting you. What will you do with Trump? If you Trump, you're like, hell yeah, I got Elon on my side. Of course, I will accept that. He took Elon's money, won his election. He's like, all right, peace out, y'all. No, by the way, no electric vehicle subsidies. Sorry, guys. So Elon Musk, what was you thinking?
I just said it on Garland's show. I think it has a lot to do with, and I don't mean this is an insult. I mean this as factual, as with his Asperger's or autism, because Trump exists in the gray zone. He exists where nothing is black and white. My feelings change constantly. I say yes, I mean no. I say yes, I'm doing another thing. For someone with Asperger's, they're like, I don't understand any of this. What is going on? And I feel like he went in there and kind of maybe had an idealist sort of, thoughts in his head. I think that he believed in Doge. I didn't, but I think that Elon did. And I think that Elon believes in the things he actually says, and Trump doesn't. And for him, not that I agree with what the things Elon says are or his ideology. I'm just saying, I think he believes in it. And Trump is all over the place. And for someone like Elon, I don't think that makes a lot of sense. I feel like he felt very dejected after he was forced to go from like $1 trillion or $2 trillion down to 150 billion. And we wound up getting 20. Like, that's an L. That's a huge black mark on Elon Musk. And I think that he thought like this was going to be great. And it wasn't. And I think that happens with Elon a lot. He has these kind of mad scientist ideas with how things are going to work, and then they just don't. And then he's just sad, sort of.
Yeah. I think this story is hilarious to me because it exposes like how mediocre these CEO types actually are.
Yep.
There are people who they wrote exposés. They explain how Elon Musk, like, he's not fucking Tony Stark. He's not someone who's great at engineering. Like, he's not some sort of genius. He's an investor who got a few lucky breaks, stole the IP off a few people, got a lucky break with funding Tesla with many people. He stole the business model from one of his partners. Essentially, he's not this genius that people make him out to be. Which goes to the point I was making on the story, where Elon really thought that he was outmaneuvering Donald Trump. Like, because when you look at everything that Elon Musk did over the last year, it makes no sense. Like, your business model was relying on liberals thinking that you was Tony Stark, thinking that you a good guy who care about the environment. You doing a heel turn and supporting Donald Trump, trying to win over the MAGA people and convincing the truck drivers to drive electric vehicles. How does that even make sense? So do you guys see where I'm coming from? My point I'm making is Elon Musk is a mediocre child, just like many of the other capitalists who made it big because of lucky breaks. And then once they get on top, they show you how mediocre they are. Elon Musk thought he was doing fucking 40 checks on Trump. I bet you this entire time he thought he had a leg up on Trump. Meanwhile, Trump was manipulating this motherfucker from the beginning. He was taking his money. He helped Republicans win the Senate and the House, helped Donald Trump win the election, and didn't even give him shit. So Donald Trump outplayed Elon and showed how Elon's a fucking amateur. Every decision he made has been negative towards his business, towards his ideology. Like, if his ideology was to cut government spending, he failed on that. So the point I'm making, I'm maybe being a little long-winded here, but the point I'm making here is that this shows how mediocre Musk is, or at least he's extremely washed. He's extremely washed. He don't now make these chess moves like you think he does.
I agree. Any closing thoughts before we get out of here?
No, it's always fun writing with you.
Now I'm not crashing out anymore. Got it all out of my system. Thank you, everybody. We will see you around Twitter, ddgeopolitics.com. Make sure you follow Revolutionary Blackout on Twitter and Nick. And I will see you guys on Sunday. Nick, when are you streaming again? Tomorrow?
I'm actually going to take the rest of this week off for holiday, but we got a lot of content coming up because I'm going to show the Jake Shields video and probably be around an hour. I'm going to premiere it literally at 6 p.m. Eastern time. I'm going to send out a tweet to promote it. You know what I mean? I want to see how people on the left think about me being on Jake Shields' show. I want to tweet that out, promote it. Hopefully cause some controversy, get some people to watch the video. Yeah. So that should come out on the RBN. So you got two videos coming out today, plus a ton of premieres. And then I got you guys know we can't city, so 4th of July is big family barbecue time. I've been neglecting the family a bit, so I'm gonna spend some time with them for the end of the week.
That's nice.
I'll be back next week. I think Bree should be coming on here soon. We're working out the exact date. Glenn Greenwald also should be returning here very soon, working on the exact date. I had to reschedule because of holidays and stuff with him. But you guys know I'm always in the lab cooking. And I'll be back with Sarah and DDG another week or two.
A week or two. All right. Bye, guys. Have a good rest of your week, and we'll see you around.
Peace out, y'all.